Guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss another interview question. The question is, what is the difference between SOSL queries and SOQL queries? Now, before we jump on the differences between these two types of queries, let's first discuss what SOSL and what SOQL queries are. So SOSL queries. SOSL queries stands for Salesforce Object Search Language. Means if you want to search for something, then in that case you are going to use SOSL. SOSL is a Salesforce search language which is used to perform text searches in the record. So if you're looking for a specific text across multiple records, then in that case, you are going to use SOSL queries. Now you can look for particular text across multiple objects. You does not have to be a single object at a time. You can look across multiple objects in the SOSL queries. Use the SOSL to search the fields across multiple standard and custom object records in Salesforce. Now, what is the syntax for this SOSL query? So, as I told you, this SOSL is used for search for a particular text. So if you are looking for a particular text across multiple objects or the fields, in that case, you are going to use these queries. Now, what is the syntax here? So first thing you have to use is this find keyword, and then you have to specify what are you looking for. So if you are looking for the name John, if you are looking for this word SFDC, or then you have to specify the text you are looking for in all fields returning. Then you have to specify across which objects are you looking for that text. Are you looking for, in this case, you are looking for account object and the contact object. And then what do you want it to return? So it is only going to return you the name field from the account object, and it will return you the first name and the last name field from the contact object. So it's not going to return you the records with all the fields. It is only going to return you the first name and the last name fields of the records from the contact object and the name field from the account object. So this is how you write the SOSL queries. So SOSL queries is used to perform a text search across multiple records. Now, the next type of the query is that we have is SOQL queries. Now, what is this SOQL queries? SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. Sorry, by mistake, I have written SOSL in this, but this is SOQL. It's basically used to read the records. So if you are looking for a record, in the previous one, we are looking for some text. We were searching for something. In here, if you want to read some saved records from the Salesforce database, then in that case, you are going to use SOQL. SOQL is very similar to SQL language, if you are familiar with, but it is customized for the Lightning platform. So SOQL is little different because SQL is specifically for the Salesforce platform, but SQL is used in Java and for other kind of relational databases. You have used the SQL queries to retrieve the database. Since Apex has direct access to Salesforce records that are stored in the database, we can write these SOQL queries in the Apex code as well, and you can get the result through the Apex code. when you embed the SOQL inside the Apex program or inside of an Apex class, you call this as an inline SOQL. So SOQL queries are used to read the saved records. Let's say you want to select, just like here in the example, you are use the keyword select. In the previous SOSL, we use the keyword find because you are looking for the particular text. Here you are use the keyword select and then you specify the fields you are interested in. If you are not interested in all the fields, you can specify in which all fields you are interested. So here you interested in the name field and phone field. From which object? We are interested in the account object only. So what will it do? It will return you from the account records, but it is not going to display all the fields of those records. It is only going to display the name field of each of those records and the phone field of those records. So that is what the SOQL query is. SOQL query is used to read the saved records, and you can directly embed the SOQL queries inside of an Apex class. And when you do that, you call it as inline SOQL. So that is what the SOQL queries is. Now let's go ahead and cover the interview question that we are talking about. So what is the difference between SOQL and SOSL? So that is one of the very common interview question. If you are going for a Salesforce developer job, then this you might come across this question. And there is a very high chances. So they ask you what is the difference between SOQL and SSO. So the first thing is SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language, and SOSL stands for Salesforce Object Search Language. In the case of SOQL, only one object can be searched at a time. So you can only pull the records from account object, or you can only pull the records from a lead object, etc. So only one object can be searched at a time in the case of SOQL. Whereas in the case of SOSL, you can perform a text-based search across multiple objects. So many objects can be searched at the time, or in the case of SOSL. That is one difference. So you can only use one object here at a time. Here you can use multiple objects in the case of SOSL. So the second difference is this SOQL query, you can query any type of field. So you can query a phone field, you can query a name field, checkbox, any type. It is going to return you whatever field you are interested in. But in the case of SOSL, you can only query only email field, text field, or the phone number field. So you can only query on these three types of field. But whereas in the case of SOQL, you can query any type of field. The next one is I told you that you can embed your SOQL queries inside Apex code. So it can be used inside of classes and the triggers. But the SOSL can only be used in the Apex classes, but not in the trigger. So you cannot use SOSL query inside of a trigger. You can only use for Apex classes. The fourth difference is that we have is DML operations can be performed on the result. So if you wanted to retrieve the records, and let's say you are looking for the name field and the phone phone number field from the account object. So it will return you all the account records, and then you can update those records. So you can say, hey, update the phone number field on all the records that you return. So you can perform the DML operation on the result of SOQL query. But in the case of SOSL, the DML operation cannot be performed on the results. Means whatever has been returned, because it is only going to return you what? But if in the SOSL, you can only look for some text. Find John in account in first name. It is going to look for the John across account records. So in SOSL, we cannot perform DML operations on the search results, whereas in the case of SOQL, we can perform the DML operations. Here, the SOQL will return you the records, right? It will return you all the records that you are interested in. So if you are saying select the name, comma, font from account where the account name is Burlington text. So it will return you the record where the name is Burlington textile. So that is going to return you records. This one is only going to return you the feeds. So that is what the SOSL is. These are the difference between the SOQL queries and SOSL queries. Now you need to understand what is the purpose of each of these. SOSL is used to search for a particular text across multiple records, whereas SOQL is used to read the records from the Salesforce database. You can only read one object at a time, whereas in SOSL, you can query multiple objects. So these are the differences between SOQL queries and SOSL queries. In the next tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going ahead and give you an example on how to write an SOQL query and SOSL query. What is the difference between them? So let's meet in the next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.